How you doing, everybody? I've made a mashup for you today. So I'm here to talk about search and social. So what I've done is I've taken parts from 3 presentations I've done recently. So one of them was actually an awards entry, and it went on and it won a medal. So I'm going to share that with you. Another one is a conference, a digital marketing conference I did in Berlin last week. So I've taken relevant stuff for you from that. And the third one is from a talk I did, the Digital Summit, a couple of months back. So I've brought the most important and relevant search and social elements together. So if you notice, I'm looking at the slides and it seems they surprise me. It's not that I haven't seen them before, I just haven't seen them in this sequence. So we'll put it all together and we'll see how we go. So like Sean said, I'm delighted to be here in DCU. When I was a student, I desperately wanted to do my degree here, but they wouldn't have me. I think my first 3 positions in my CAO were all DCU, and I missed out on them all. So I think, Sean, you were probably here. That was before your time, so I won't hold you accountable. But it's a great college, and I know an awful lot about it. Through that, we've also been hiring people from DCU, and it's probably the best source of candidates we've seen. So you're all, obviously, there's a really good curriculum, and you're doing really good work there. My story as a digital marketer started an awful lot like my academic career, and that's with rejection. So that's me coming out of DIT, very proud as punch with my marketing degree. So my digital marketing career started with an application to Google. So I applied to Google, like perhaps lots of you will, lots of you already have. And in going through the interviews, I fell in love with Google AdWords. I felt this is easily the best marketing tool on the planet. I believed that then, and I believe it now. So when I got the news that Google weren't going to employ me, I said, feck them, I'm going to do it anyway. So I went and taught myself how to use Google AdWords via online tutorials. And then I started doing a little freelance business, got a couple of clients. So that freelance business has grown into what is today Wolfgang Digital. So Wolfgang Digital is a team of 18 digital marketing nerds. And we're particularly passionate about search. We've expanded, we've gone beyond search, and I'll tell you that story as we go through it. Wolfgang Digital, we call ourselves the digital marketing scientists, and being scientists, we love a good study. So here's some of the more recent studies we've done. Lots of news stories out there these days about the Irish economy, but there's a lack of news on the Irish online economy. So I've taken to measuring it. We have access to about 2%, the data from 2% of the Irish e-commerce economy, and from that I can measure, is it growing, is it shrinking? And in this study we found that in the retail and travel sectors, the Irish online economy is now growing at 41% per year. So you're talking 20, 25 times faster than the general economy. Another study that would be relevant to the topic of social today would be this Facebook study we did. This is particularly pertinent. I'm going to talk you through the details of this as we go through the case study, actually. A little bit more about, we work for some global brands now. We work for lots of iconic Irish brands. Really proud that as of last week, RTE are one of those. And we grew up servicing SMEs. So we work for a host of SMEs who are punching way above their weight in the online sphere. We've won lots of trophies over the last few years. And Google are fans of our work. Google have published our work a couple of times. One of the notable things about the Wolfgang Digital team is we've got 4 lecturers on the team. And one of the notable things about those lecturers is they were all trained from digital marketing novice right through to digital marketing lecturer to award-winning digital marketer in-house. So what that means for you is over the next half an hour, I'm going to take what I think is the most important information for you to know from a social perspective and from a search perspective. And I'm really enthusiastic, and I really hope that you'll leave with some really good insights and make you better digital marketers. So what I'd love to be, that Wolfgang was known for those things, what we're actually really famous for is we're that agency that runs the sex shop. So some of you might be familiar with this story, kind of as a joke, kind of as a training material. A year and a half, 2 years ago now, we kind of on the QT set up a sex shop to drop ship dildos to the people of Ireland. And we'd so many funny stories. It was all really hush-hush, and we're like, don't tell anyone. And we arrived at sex toys quite scientifically. It wasn't just for the crack. We looked at toys, iPhone cases. There was 5 categories we looked at, and we had criteria, like average transaction value, big brand competition, propensity to buy online, and sex toys just ticked all the boxes. So we went ahead and started selling those. And we had so many funny stories Like we have a sex line in the office. There is a phone, that's the sex line. It's the phone number on the Sexway website. That rings nearly every day. And actually one of the guys, the most frequent thing is people want to know if we have a shop and come by. And we rearrange the seats, because we do it every 3 months. We rearrange the seats on Monday. One of the guys didn't realise the sex line was in front of him. And some lady rang, this is yesterday, looking for directions. And he was guiding her. She was at the bridge, Millennium Bridge, and he was guiding her. And then somehow he realised she wasn't interested in digital marketing. He was like, oh, wait a sec, what's this in reference to? And she hung up the phone and we all had a good laugh. But so many stories like that. We'd have people wanting to meet us in car parks in Wicklow because they don't want to get a delivery to home and stuff. That we said, you know, there's a really good content marketing opportunity here. We're actually sitting on a great story. So I think it was March of this year, I came out and I wrote a blog post to say, yeah, look, we've been running this sex shop for the last year and a half. Here's why we did it. Here's, like, one of the key things is we learned how to walk a mile in our customers' shoes. So we experienced all the pain, like merchant accounts, failed deliveries, customer service, that the people we provide services for. So we had a much more empathetic view of our clients as a result. So we put it out there as a blog post. You can see The Guardian picked it up and they published a story on the Irish agency that opened the sex shop. Rand Fishkin, possibly the biggest celebrity digital marketer on the world, was tweeting about it, tweeting us saying great work. So we had a lot of fun with that. But I need to stop talking about it because now everybody says, oh, you're the sex shop guys, are you? Whereas I like to think there's a bit more to us than that. So let's talk about search and social. We started life as a specialist search marketing agency. If people came to us looking for social, we kind of sniggered. Like, I'm a search marketer at heart. I like concrete results. I like traffic, you know. I like conversions. When people use words like engagement, I tend to snigger into my armpit. But we've been dragged kicking and screaming into the social world, and we now realise it's actually quite valuable. The thing that dragged us and a lot of the search marketing industry into the social world was this. Is anybody familiar with the search metrics ranking study? Show of hands, anyone who's seen it? Okay, great, brilliant, yeah. So anyone who's in the SEO world, this is a really important piece of research. And a couple of years ago, they blew us all away. What they do is they rank all the correlating factors of websites that have really good Google ranking in the organic list, and then they say, well, what other activities are they doing? And social signals, the orange ones there are social signals. So it's like 7 of the top 8 factors were social signals. So the search marketing world said, oh God, we need to get active with social media if we want to continue to drive rankings in the organic list. So that's what kind of pushed us into it. And we've realized if used in an intelligent manner, it can be really, really effective. So just to talk about the different media, Thursday the 16th of August 2013 is a really monumental day in the world of digital marketing. Does anybody know what happened on this day? Shout it out if you have an idea. No? Thursday the 16th of August 2013 is the day that Google went black. Okay? So all the Google products, search, Gmail, Maps, all of them, all those products you know, they went down. Didn't really get noticed in this part of the world because it was for 4 minutes and it was just before midnight. So the blue line here represents global internet traffic, okay? So Google goes down just after 10 to midnight. Global internet traffic falls off a cliff, okay? It actually dropped 40%. So this inadvertent digital media test happens to be possibly the biggest digital marketing piece of research ever done, because you couldn't convince Google to turn everything off for 4 minutes, but lo and behold, it happened. So what I learned, what I take from this is that, you know, you're all familiar with the saying that money makes the world go round. Well, what I take from this is Google makes the World Wide Web go round. If you win on Google, you win online. So that's my Google perspective. Let's talk about Facebook a little bit. Which is easily, in terms of reach, the #1 social media network out there. So one of the key characteristics of the media landscape today is it's really fragmented. Like, it's not so long ago in Ireland we had 4 TV channels and 4 newspapers, and if you wanted to reach the nation, you just put an ad on the Late Late Show and everybody saw it. Whereas it's so fragmented now, there's multiple channels, multiple ways, and because of the long tail of media, we're all consuming much more niche media content. So a challenge for marketers is to reach a large audience. TV has still the largest part of attention from the Irish consumer. In Europe, online is second. So in terms of media share, TV is winning. We spend most hours watching TV, online second. In the UK this year, online overtakes TV. And you can bet your bottom dollar that in Ireland and in the rest of Europe, it's coming. If it's not next year, it's the year after. The most viewed TV programme in Ireland last year was, wait for it, you can probably guess. Anybody guess? Late Late Toy Show, that's right. There's Ryan. So 1.5 million people watched the Late Late Toy Show. So that was the single biggest TV event. Every single day in Ireland, you can reach over 2 million people via Facebook. So that's phenomenal reach. And the targeting is really exceptional as well. So I think, for me, that's where the opportunity lies with Facebook. So whenever we start digital marketing campaigns, we always think of them in the context of we look at people's path to purchase. And that's simply what we're doing, is we're trying to create and lubricate a path to purchase. So the way we just described Google and Facebook, where I would see them sitting, do I have a laser here? No. So where I would see them sitting is social media, or Facebook is your awareness driving machine. So you can reach a massive amount of people via social media. They're not going from there to your checkout, like that just doesn't happen. But you can start their journey to purchase. Then as they start moving down through the purchase funnel, they become aware and interested. That's when people tend to go to Google. And that's where the search engines offer a lot of value. So that's kind of the crude. That was our digital campaign planning 1.1. I saw this piece of research and I fell off my chair. So this is a piece of research from Nielsen, and what they're doing is they're measuring how much consumers trust different forms of advertising. And what was really notable to me is the top two aren't actually forms of advertising, right? So number one, I'll read them out, I know it might be hard to see, recommendations from people I know. And number two, consumer opinions posted online. So what that told me as a marketer is anything I can do that facilitates recommendations or positive reviews online is actually probably the most effective marketing I can do, because that will get trusted, people will act on that. So armed with this information, we somewhat reimagined the purchase funnel as we saw it to look more like this. So not just to finish with the sale, but to think, well, maybe we can engage in some digital media activities that generate loyalty. And if we can go beyond that and generate advocacy. So advocacy is simply people are saying positive things about you. And social media is a medium where you can allow people to say positive things about you with a microphone. So we're still setting the context before we jump into the juicy stuff. Another feature of the digital marketing landscape, and this is a global thing, I hear this in Berlin, I hear this in London, I hear this in the States, is that the agency environment is very fragmented, okay? So like 5 years ago, when people were starting agencies, some people said, I'm going to be full service, I'm going to do everything for everyone. And some people said, I'm really passionate about search, content creation, this is what I want to do. The specialists have won that battle. The people who tried to be all things to all people they failed. It was such an impossible task. Like, you're all studying it, that the digital media, they're all so deep, they go so deep, they move so fast. It's a full-time job keeping up with each of them. So the specialists have won. So what that means is most brands are using a content agency, maybe a social agency, a search agency, maybe they're doing their newsletter in-house, but this is how they found they get best results. But this presents two problems. So problem number one is they're missing the maestro in the middle, the person at the center who's pulling it all together, who's owning the results. When you've multiple people doing the work for you, sometimes the reporting can be confusing. There's a saying in digital marketing, he who keeps score best wins the budget. So if you're using multiple agencies and they're all telling you, oh, that's our conversion, all of a sudden you're not quite sure what's working. So problem number one for marketing managers, brand managers worldwide is they're using specialists who are very good at what they're doing, but they're lacking that center point. And problem number two is the integration of efforts. So just back to this point, so SEO people now need social media to help them do their job. But a social media agency doesn't really care what the SEO agency's KPIs are. They're shaping all their activities around what their own KPIs are. So what's happening here is there's a lack of integration between the different channels. And I think this is the next battle. I think the next level of wins in the digital media landscape will be, it won't be the people who do the best social or the people who do the best search. It'll be the people who tie it together to greatest effect, who understand the impact their social can have on their search. It's not a new phenomenon to digital marketing. People have been talking about this for some time. So I'm going to do a case study now. I'm just going to sip of water. And we're going to talk you through a case study for Abbey Travel. So Abbey Travel, travel company, they wanted us to help them promote their Disneyland Paris holidays. And we were doing it from a search and a social perspective. So the first thing we always do is we think about the consumer path to purchase. Let's not get too caught up in the media and the technology yet. Let's talk about the customer. So the first thing we learned about the travel purchase is it's a really considered purchase. So people are spending 24 days between the first click and the actual purchase. The only thing that people spend more time agonizing over are addresses. And I know this to be true, not just because we do work for Brown Thomas and Littlewoods, because I sit beside my wife in bed and she's destroying ASOS's conversion rate. Every night she's just flicking around from dress to dress to dress, and I can see their conversion rate going down, 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 down. So it's a very long, very considered purchase. What we can see here is people are typically visiting 21 websites, or there's 21 visits to a website. So this tells me they have a lot of questions. That's what this tells me. They have a lot of things they need answered before they make this important purchase. We already spoke about the importance of recommendations from people you know. You can be pretty sure there's going to be touch points like that. They're going to go onto Facebook and say, who's been in a good holiday with the kids to Europe this year? So we want to be conscious of that when we're developing a strategy. So we had a really good idea here of how this was going to play out. We were going to use Facebook social media at the very top of the funnel. We were going to hope that was going to influence our search efforts at the interest and action point. And then we wanted to re-engage people. We didn't want to just sell them a holiday and then say sayonara. We wanted to re-engage them with the loyalty. And if we did a really good job, now not just as marketers, but if Abbey Travel did a really good job as holiday providers, these people were going to go out and share their experience with their 300 Facebook friends, 500 followers on Twitter, whatever it might be. So this is a really important point. The mistake nearly everybody in the SEO industry made when they saw this graph is they said, I got to go out and get really busy on social media now. I got to get out and be posting like crazy on Facebook, Pinterest, etc., etc. The reality is, by the time you've gotten to social media, the battle's already been won and lost. And it's been won and lost by the content you create. So apologies for the really ugly slide. But I suppose this is a very high-level view of our search and social strategy. So it's all about the content is the center point. It has to have the correct SEO architecture if you want Google to rank it. Housed appropriately on your website. And the social activity is really only the tip of the iceberg. That's just your mechanism for getting eyeballs on it. So what we did in this case is we went to Abbey Travel's customer-facing staff and we said, would you talk to us about the type of questions people ask you? Because you can guarantee if they ask them of the customer-facing staff, they're asking them of Google. And then when they gave us all the questions, we said, could you rank them? Give us a sequence, like what's the first question people ask you, and what's the type of question people ask you right before they're about to buy something? And do they come back after they've bought, and what are the questions they ask you then? And we let those questions dictate the type of content we created. So based on the client-facing staff's feedback, we wrote these kind of blog posts, helpful for people before the purchase. As I say, we don't want to just forget about them when they've made a purchase, so we wrote the kind of blog posts that we were still being useful to people, being helpful to them after they've made the purchase. And these end up becoming a really good internal resource that the client-facing staff can actually answer questions with links to blog posts and that. We then promoted them with Facebook ads, which have become fantastic recently. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later on. So that worked really well for us at the top of the funnel, got a lot of eyeballs, got a lot of traffic. Because we'd architected it correctly for SEO, and because we'd strategically chosen to write about things that were worth ranking for an SEO, we had a really positive Google effect. And this is, to be honest with you, this is where the big win happens. So let's have a look at a sequence of search queries. These are the kind of searches somebody goes through on their way to booking a holiday in Disneyland Paris. So the first search there is, when's the best time to visit Disneyland in Paris? And you can see our authored blog post there, and Abbey Travel are answering that question. Now they're investigating a particular time of year, And once again, Abbey Travel have the answer to that question. What's notable here is if Abbey Travel weren't in position number 1, TripAdvisor would be. You know your SEO's going all right if you're keeping TripAdvisor off the top spot. Now we're getting down towards, like, I'm about to buy something now. These are the questions people ask just before they buy something. And then there, Abbey Travel are again answering those questions. The next slide I'm going to show you is the Moneymaker. It's the search with the most volume, and the search is going to give you the most revenue. If we started our SEO activity trying to rank for that, we never would have got anywhere. But in looking at what you might consider the long tail or the top and middle funnel searches and doing a really good job answering those, we'd earned a lot of credibility in Google's eyes when it came to the Moneymaker. So Disneyland Paris, we managed to get position number 2 only after the official website for that, so we were delighted with that. There's something that's really important for you all to note here, actually. I'm going to go back and go through this again. There's a perception out there about Google and about Facebook. People tend to favor, I want SEO because that's free, or people still think I want to use Facebook because I'll get a big audience for free. Both of these companies are PLCs. They're listed on the stock exchange. They have a fiduciary duty to grow their revenues year on year. The way they grow their revenues is by getting people to click on more ads. So the commercial reality is for you to get traffic from Google, Facebook, and the rest of them, you really need to understand that paid promotion is going to be a part of your strategy. Let me illustrate about how Google have been really intelligent about this. They've used something called the Semantic Search. So Semantic Search is not just looking at the words in the search bar, but trying to understand the user's intent behind the search. And what Google have got very good at is they don't show ads to information seekers. So if you search for the Phoenix Park, you'll see no ads. If you search for the hotels near the Phoenix Park, you'll see 15% organic list and 85% ads. So the difference there is the person who put hotels in, they've got the credit card out, they're about to buy something, that's commercial intent. So for that reason, they get shown ads. The person who searched for the Phoenix Park, we don't know what they want to do. Maybe going for a run, maybe going to the zoo, maybe it's after dark and they do have commercial intent, but no one's advertising that on Google. So just watch how we move down through the funnel, how the advertising becomes more prominent. So this is the top of funnel search. There's no Google ads there, okay? This is moving down. There's one Google ad up the top, not taking up a lot of space. We're getting closer to the purchase here. You can, oops. Getting closer to the purchase, you can see the ads start taking up more space. On the money-making search, we're more than 50% ads for that one. So just an important consideration. So we've gotten really good coverage there on Google. We might have made a sale. The next frontier, the next objective is to generate brand advocacy. And this is where I think social media can play a stormer. It's easy to be a busy fool on social media, nowhere more so than anywhere else. But I think if you're strategic about your efforts, this is where the biggest win lies. So here's the kind of things that was happening by people who'd been on trips or are about to go on Facebook. So here's someone tagging their friend saying, I want to go back. Here's people, again, tagging their friends. You need to read this blog post. Here's people like, woohoo, I can't wait to go. So this facilitating of conversations that was spoken about earlier, really important point. It's not really about selling. It's about providing useful information and facilitating the conversations. So essentially your audience becomes a really effective marketing tool for you. And there's some reviews. Yeah, so we were really happy at the end of this that we'd done that. We'd used social media to drive awareness. The social media signals that Google saw meant we ranked really well in the interest in action, and then we generated that advocacy at the bottom. So then it's feeding the top of the funnel, and you've got a wonderfully holistic, self-fulfilling purchase funnel there. So I think particularly that the advocacy part, if you can do that, if you can use social media to generate brand advocacy, well, then you're in digital marketing Valhalla. So this is a fun one, right? I love this one. This is Battle of the Internet Giants. So I'm going to talk to you about the ongoing battle between Google and Facebook, right? So this is a battle that's taken place on two fronts. Front number one is our advertising dollar. They're both competing for that. And front number two is our social media eyeball. They're both competing for that. So let's talk about the advertising dollar first. Lots of you will... Who's a Facebook user? Okay, great. Easy. Okay. So you all know that in June of 2013, the ads, which were previously only available on the right-hand side, moved into the news feed. And this was a really, really powerful move for Facebook. Straight away, we saw click-through rates rocket. Click-through rates here, you can see they multiplied by a factor of 51. So just to show you what that looked like, typically over here, a display ad click-through rate, our study found, was about 0.4%. That's terrible. Like display, is, in my opinion, it's kind of controversial, is probably it's not of value, but it's among the least valuable digital marketing channels, in my opinion. I wrote a blog post 2 years ago titled "Display Ads Are a Crock of Shit," and it's still one of the most read blog posts on the website. I've rolled back a bit. I'm not so extreme, but there's a value, but it's not going to set the world alight for you. Display ads, typically 0.1% click-through rate, 0.04 over there. Terrible. Newsfeed ads, over 2%. So 51 times higher. So this was huge. This facilitated a win-win-win. So Facebook won because it's getting 51 times more ad click revenue. Facebook advertisers won because they're getting 51 times more traffic per impression. And as digital marketers, what we say is if engagement rates jump up, that tells us users like this. Users prefer this form of advertising to the other one. So you could argue that there's a user win there as well. Just to show you the impact of that on Facebook's share price. Check that out. That's where they moved the ads from the right-hand side into the news feed. So the next financial results were obviously August, and the share price has just booted up since. If you'd invested $1,000 in Facebook at that point, you would have over $3,000 right now. So look at the impact it's had on Facebook. It's incredible. Around about this time, I fancied myself as a technology investor. And even though this was staring me in the face, I got really excited about Bitcoin. So let me show you how that panned out. That's where I bought Bitcoin. So my girlfriend, or my wife now, stopped me putting the deposit for the house on it like I was hell-bent. I came back from South by Southwest, and I was on the word that Bitcoin's going to change the world. And because of all the fraud problems we'd felt with the sex shop, this addressed so much. I was there. As a retailer, I can totally see how this is really important. But the big fear there was that one of the big players would try and compete with it. And what happened very shortly after I bought Bitcoin was Apple started killing all the Bitcoin apps. You couldn't use them anymore. And lo and behold, they've just launched their payment solution in the last while. So Bitcoin's not looking so good right now. I think I'll stick to the digital marketing. So that's the battle for the advertising dollar. So the first thing we saw here was Facebook can now generate almost as much traffic as Google AdWords can. That's a big win. Facebook click-through rates are nearly as good as Google AdWords click-through rates. That's really impressive. Facebook cost per clicks are significantly cheaper than AdWords, than Google AdWords cost per click. So all of a sudden we're like, should we be moving AdWords budget over to Facebook? But what we found was that it just doesn't convert. Like, let's do a show of hands. Who's recently bought something after visiting Google? Gone from a Google search result to buying something? Okay, lots of hands. Who's recently gone from Facebook to a checkout and bought something? 1, 2. So an awful lot less. So Facebook, as great as it is for the top of the funnel, the conversion rates suck. And what's natural is the advertising dollar is going to follow the consumer dollar. Like, we live in the world of big data, all these things are measurable. So while Facebook is a really valuable arrow in your digital marketing quiver, perhaps, it's not the beast, the conversion generating beast that Google is. So that's the first battle. Google are safe enough in that. Let's talk about the battle for our social media eyeballs. I can see a few of you look a little queasy looking at this slide. It's a bit disgusting looking. So we're talking about the battle here between Google Plus and Facebook. So we went into a meeting in Google last month to talk about some opportunities for one of our clients. And when the Google Plus specialist came in, he said, Google Plus is going nowhere. And we were kind of going, what? Did anybody even suggest that it was? And he was like, yeah, we're committed to it, no problems, Google Plus isn't going anywhere. And if you're a football fan, you'll know all about the dreaded vote of confidence. I was like, this sounds very much like the dreaded vote of confidence to me. So just an example of what that looks like. Man United legend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer turned his hand to management. In February, his board gave him the dreaded vote of confidence. 6 months later, poor Ole got the sack. So when Google essentially gave Google Plus the vote of confidence in an unsolicited manner, I decided I'm going to dig a little deeper into this. Let me have a look at this. So I'm going to show you a timeline of events, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys to draw your own conclusions. This is a screen grab I took from the Google Plus developers blog last week. The last blog post on that blog was in December 2013. It's nearly a year ago. In April of 2014, Vic Gundotra, the father of Google Plus, leaves Google after 8 years. Reportedly, his team who are working on Google Plus have been disbanded. Google I/O, this is a big one. So the Google Developers Conference happened once a year. They get all the developers together to talk about what's happening. In 2013, they had 18 sessions on Google Plus, 2 full days programmed for talking about Google Plus. Guess how many sessions they had this year? How many? 0. None. The image here is a Google authorship profile pic, really popular, really effective. That was retired for really questionable reasons in June 2014. Google Hangouts, the most popular product within Google Plus, have now been broken out. So you no longer need to be a Google Plus user to use a Google Hangout. In August, they integrated YouTube and Google Plus so you could transfer all your videos from Google Plus to YouTube. So if for any reason in the future you weren't going to be using Google Plus, your videos would still be there in a Google product. And then the big one, this is only a few weeks ago, it's now no longer mandatory to open a Google Plus account when you're creating a Gmail account. So you don't need to be Bobby Fischer to see the pattern of the play here. I'll leave you, you've seen the evidence there, I'd let you all make up your own minds. It looks to me like Google Plus might be being sunsetted slowly but surely. So I'd hate to finish up without giving you some key takeaways. Lots of conceptual stuff there, but I'd like to give you some stuff that you can action today. Think paths to purchase first. Like the digital media landscape can be so confusing. There's so much there, and it's, oh, do I need to be on Snapchat now? What's up with Vine? Think of your consumer's path to purchase first. All the media, they're just tools to facilitate that path to purchase. The next wave of big wins are in the ligaments. I chose not to give you a screen grab here. I thought the eyeball would be enough. So what I mean by that is the specialists have won to date. So the people who said, we're a social media, we're youth communications, or we're search, we're social, they've won to this point. The next battle will be won between the people who can tie it together, who can offer a equally valuable, perhaps social alongside search, and it's the ligaments, it's the bits that join them together and make them greater than the sum of their parts. That's where the next big win is. Use social to create brand advocacy. I said it before, it's easy to be a busy fool on social media. Be really strategic about what you're doing with it. That's the big win. That's what social media can do that no other media, online or offline, can do for you. Use social to influence your search ranking. And then, yeah, consider kickstarting your digital marketing career with us. So we have a digital marketing traineeship. And just really quick, there's details on the website, but it's specifically designed for people who have the qualification but not the experience. So we have a curriculum, it's a paid position, and people who excel throughout the traineeship get full-time jobs at the end of it. So that's everything I have to say. Thanks very much for being a great audience. It's been a pleasure.